Hi, Alison, do you like stories?
Yeah, for sure.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, definitely.
Once upon a time, there was a king. He was the king of England. He was a good leader. He was loved by his people. He was feared by his enemies. Does that sound pretty standard for kings?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Definitely. This king was looking for an accountant.
Okay.
Okay? And he really wanted a citizen of his own country, but along comes a skeezy drifter. And the first thing this drifter does is lies about his citizenship, so he's a liar. And then when he's counting the king's money, he steals from the treasury. And even though the king trusted him with everything, eventually he's caught by the king's daughter. But she's beautiful and he assaults her in the worst way. He actually rapes the king's daughter. And then the king's son hears her scream afterwards. And what he does is he goes to protect his sister, and the drifter runs a sword through him, thus killing him. And then he makes his escape. So eventually someone has to tell the king what this drifter did to his family and to his country. What do you think the king's first emotion's going to be?
Oh, like anger.
Definitely. Because, the king's a king, but first and foremost, he's a father. And the job of a father is to love and protect his children. So if I harm someone's children, I'm going to provoke what?
Their anger.
Definitely. And can I say this? The more love a father would have when we harm his children, the more anger it would provoke.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's related, right?
Yeah, totally.
Because if I was indifferent, it would show I didn't love my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. We agree on that. So the king is more than just a father. He's a ruler. And his job is to govern his nation. Now, if I betray a king, I become his
enemy, I guess.
His enemy, definitely. And I'm going to ask you a question. Do kings have power over life and death?
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Off with his head.
Off with his head. Exactly, right? Yeah, for sure. But the king is not just a father. He's not just a ruler. He's also a judge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he's got to ensure justice for all. Now, if I break a law, I have to pay a
penalty. There's like a price.
Exactly. And can a good judge overlook a crime or the penalty associated with it?
No.
No, of course not. Now, the judge has to keep the law. Now, if I break a law, in the eyes of the law, I'm a
criminal?
Criminal, definitely. Now, here's what the law says in this country. It says if I lie to the king, it's a death sentence. And if I steal from the king, it's a death sentence. Does that sound pretty standard with kings?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Definitely. Now, I'm going to ask you honestly, does it seem pretty harsh to kill someone for lying?
It seems a little harsh, yeah.
Yeah, but think about this. Is it the size of the crime or the size of the person it's against?
Probably. I could get the person it's against.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you threw a shoe at me, you would not see any jail time. But someone threw a shoe at the President of the United States and was in jail for 1 year.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay? Because it's a little thing, but it's against a high position. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there we go, because it's against the king. Now, this guy got away, he escaped and everything. I'm going to ask you an honest from the heart question. Do you hope that he was caught?
Yeah.
That's your sense of justice. And you know what? We all hope he was caught. And it turns out he was caught. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in the king's seat. Right now you're presiding over the king's court. You're the judge over this drifter.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to say, court is in session, the Honorable Allison presiding, and why don't you just hit the table and say, court's in session.
Court's in session.
There we go. They bring the drifter before you. Turns out the money he stole, he invested really well.
Okay.
And the first thing he says, listen, if you clear away the entire penalty, I'll give you $1 million. Would you take the bribe?
No.
Of course not, right? Like, your daughter could be in the courtroom, your wife, your citizens are in the courtroom watching this. What if he offered you $1 billion? Be honest, $1 billion.
No, not a chance.
Not a chance, exactly. No bribe would be enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if you found out he had good deeds? What if you found out, like, he went to church and he shoveled people's snow and he mowed people's lawns and he carried people's groceries and he promised to do so many more good deeds? Would you clear away his entire penalty?
No, because he should have known better in the first place.
Well, exactly, right? Good deeds aren't going to clear away my speeding tickets, are they?
For
No,
sure
of course not. Okay? What if he begged? What if he said sorry? What if he repented? What if he said he'd never do it again? Would you clear away his entire penalty?
No.
No, of course not. Because I'm not going to go to the penitentiary right now and ask every rapist and murderer if they're sorry and then let them go, right?
No.
No, there's a penalty and they have to pay it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You and I agree. And here's the king's problem. So I'm going to say, would you clear the drifter for any reason?
No.
No, of course not. And that's the king's problem. If he clears the drifter for any reason, it shows he's unloving towards the victims, which are his children in this case. It would show he's weak towards his enemies. And it would also show he's indifferent towards the law. It's like the law books are like toilet paper to him.
Yeah.
That would actually make him a bad father, a bad king, and a bad judge. So here I'm going to say this. The king has to punish the drifter. Do you agree?
Yes.
For sure. Here's what happened in the story, right? The full penalty falls on the drifter. The law is satisfied, the victims are vindicated, and justice prevails. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay? And the end result is this. The penalty fell on the drifter. The law called for death, and the drifter was executed. Did the drifter get what he legally deserved?
Yes.
Perfect. Now I've got a really important question for you. I want you to think about this.
Okay.
Have you ever been to a McDonald's restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever supersized your fries?
Yes.
Can we supersize this story?
Yes.
Perfect.